This is Inside the League with James Groh on the Global Sports Network. Back on, excuse me, and we are back on Inside the League. You're on the Global Sports Network. We talked a little bit about Kevin Durant, the Warriors' moves, what that could bring to the team. Now I think they're going to be an offensive force to contend with. You know, they were talking about Stephen A. Smith said, could they win 70 games? Yeah, they could win 70 games. Could they win 74 games? Wow, that's a lot. I think people would then say, hey, maybe they shouldn't try to win so many. They've already got the record. Now they need to win the championship, you know? But hey, if you can go back-to-back years breaking a NBA season, if you can break the record 2 years in a row, go for it. I say go for it. Try to find that W in both scenarios, because that would be incredible. Then the Warriors, you know, you'd start off having one of the greatest dynasties of all time if they could then continue that kind of performance. But the Warriors will be an absolute force to contend with. I don't think that's up to question at all. It's just if they can, you know, do as well as everybody expects them to, because now it's kind of like, well, they have to win a championship, otherwise it's a letdown season, kind of like it was last season. But moving on, there's more free agency updates. So the Denver Nuggets have offered Dwayne Wade just shy of or just around $50 million for a 2-year deal. The Heat only want to offer him $40 million, but I don't really think Dwayne Wade's going to leave for an extra $10 million to go play for the Nuggets at this tail end of his career. You know, you're not going to the Nuggets because you're fighting for a championship. You're not going to the Nuggets because you can continue to play there and get a lot of money for, you know, a long, long time. You're already the face of a franchise. You're already going to make a lot of money. You've made a lot of money, and Miami's your hometown. Now, I mean, I agree where sometimes you just got to do the smart basketball move. And what's the smart basketball for Dwayne Wade? Maybe that's move elsewhere and develop as a player in the tail end of his career. Kevin Durant made a smart basketball move, I think, and go into the Warriors. Yes, Stephen A. Smith said it was a cowardly move, but as a basketball player, he had to do what he had to do. He had to go to he had to test the waters of free agency, and he liked the Warriors, and he sees he can win championships with the Warriors, and that's what every player wants to do, win championship. If Dwayne Wade thinks he can do that with the Nuggets, I don't think that's possible. I think he's got a better chance with the Heat. Then you might as well. But to be honest, I think Dwayne Wade is just kind of testing the waters, seeing what's out there, and he's going to come back to the Heat. It's too late in his career to try to start anew someplace else, and he's already got the whole Heat fan base behind him. You know, sure, Heat fans aren't probably going to react. Well, Heat fans might react as badly as they did when Kevin Durant left the Thunder, because Wade at least won a championship for them and brought him to the Heat, won a couple of championships for him. Took him to the finals a couple of times with LeBron and without LeBron. Moving forward, Gerald Henderson, Philadelphia 76ers has agreed to a 2-year, $18 million contract. He averaged 8 points a game and 2 rebounds with Portland last season. Dirk Nowitzki has re-signed with the Mavericks. People thought that he might be leaving, but he is back with the Mavs, and he's going to earn around $40 million over the next 2 seasons with a player option into his second year. But that 2 years makes him locked up with the Mavs if he wants to be until he's 40. So Nowitzki not letting age get to him. Now, Dellavedova got a ridiculously big contract from the Bucks, and I'm happy the Cavs didn't match that because I think the Bucks were stupid to give him that much money. $38.4 million over 4 years. Dellavedova is not a starter. He is not the face of a franchise, and he's good for about 25 to 30 minutes. That's it. He's got tenacity, and he's got fire, and he's got passion, but he's not the player to lead you into the playoffs. Dellavedova is not going to, he's not going to make the Bucks that complete team now. They're not going to wrap up a 6th spot, 6th, 7th, or 8th spot. Maybe they'll get an 8th. They'll fight for an 8th. But Dellavedova, to waste $38.4 million on, you could get a lot of other players. New York Knicks signed Brandon Jennings to a 1-year deal, approximately $5 million. He tore his Achilles tendon last season, but now he will be joining Derrick Rose out in New York. Now also, Rajon Rondo has gone over to the Bulls, so he will pair up with Jimmy Butler, see how they can play together. A little Rondo and Butler action. I think Rondo could, really do well. He's that classic point guard, kind of like a Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, where he doesn't put up a lot of points. I mean, he can put up 20 points and 10 assists if he wants to, but he's really good at just distributing the ball and manipulating the game. So I think that would be really cool if, I think it's obviously still Jimmy Butler's team. Derrick Rose left. But Rajon Rondo backing up Butler, they could be a solid 3-2 seed out in the East. And they could cause some real damage. I think the Cavs are still the favorite in the East, but I think this puts the Bulls at that number 2 or 3 spot. Now, speaking of Bulls, Pau Gasol is finalizing a 2-year deal with the Spurs worth around $30 million. And that also has a player option. So a lot of these big names really liking to exercise that player option in the second year. So only 2-year contracts have a player option so that they can either move on or get more money from their respective team. Pau Gasol, he kind of replaces that David West role, but a better David West. Better David West, played in bigger games, has more experience. Just overall, a better David West. On the Ibrahimovic move, I think that's interesting. I think it's too bad that he's... I know we're totally derailing from basketball free agency. But Ibrahimovic, you look at him, and he's gone and won a championship at just about every single club he's played for. AC Milan won a championship. Barcelona won a championship. PSG won a championship. He hasn't won a championship with Sweden. And who did he play for before? Inter? Yeah, he won a championship with Inter as well. So he's got a pretty good track record now. Do I think he's going to be able to help the Red Devils, help United win a Premier League title? I don't know, because I think in the other leagues, it was a little bit different. Sure, in the Italian league, I think it was a lot more competitive when he was on AC Milan and before, even way back when he was on Inter. So it was competitive to win a title there. I don't think it was at all competitive for him to win a title with Barca because, it's always between Barca and Real. Sure, Atletico mixes its way in a little bit, but I don't think that much. So it was really Barca or Real, and it's kind of like they trade off every season. So it was like, oh, well, he plays 4 seasons, or he plays 2 seasons, he's going to win at least 1 championship. PSG has just been the dominant force in League One for too long. But, I mean, PSG showed what they're made of, and Zlatan, of course, helped. He was a very, very big and integral part of every single team that he's ever played for. I mean, he's one of the best strikers, I think, that'll ever play, just because of his confidence and his poise on the field. I mean, you see that bicycle kick that he scored for Sweden against England from 35 yards out? So getting back to your question, what do I think about it? I think Zlatan is going to definitely help him. It's going to be like getting a better version of Van Persie when Van Persie left Arsenal. A much better, younger, more ferocious Van Persie. And I think it's a disappointment if they don't at least make the Champions League. Now, I think it's a disappointment if they don't get second or first now that they have Zlatan, and it's kind of unfair to say that one player should have that much of an effect in soccer, I think, because soccer is it's such a big field, and it's 11 players versus 11 players. It's harder for one player to have such a big impact. Like, you can have LeBron, speaking of Cavs, make a big impact on the team. I think he'll definitely help, and he's going to change, the tone of the club. But I still think it's going to be between Man City and Arsenal. I think Arsenal, if they can retain all their players and they can stay healthy throughout the course of the season, then it's going to be one of those two teams who take the title. Arsenal are inching closer every single year, getting a little bit closer, getting a little bit better, putting together the pieces. And, if Giroud can be the quality striker like he has been in the Euros, I think it's a no-brainer. And, look at Alexis Sanchez has played impeccably during Copa. Then you got Ozil, who's playing really, really well for Germany. Also, was it a right move with Vardy to stay at Leicester? I like all these questions. You can keep on throwing these questions at me, at all you guys want. Was it a good idea? He could have gone to a bigger market, and most players normally want to go to a bigger market. a bigger team, bigger contract, bigger fanfare. So in that sense, no. Will Leicester City win another title? No. Is he doing something that's good for the fans? Yeah. But in the end, it's not really about the fans. We were talking about that earlier with LeBron leaving to the Heat and KD now going to the Warriors and Dwayne Wade possibly leaving the Heat. It doesn't matter. You got to do what's best for you. You got to make a soccer decision, make a soccer move. And Vardy staying at Leicester City, that was a once-in-a-lifetime season. They're not going to be able to repeat that kind of magic. Vardy, and it could be the case of you see a player do really, really well in the World Cup or the Euros or the Copa, and then you're like, oh, a big club snatches him up and signs him. But then, like Andrei Shevchenko, they kind of flop. Or Rosicky, they flop. So Vardy could flop again, What did he do in the Euros? Nothing. England didn't do anything. He can grow more with a better team if he is that high quality of a player. But I don't think we have enough evidence to say if he's a high quality player. He played one season impeccably, absolutely amazing. Leicester City deserved to win the title. They beat everybody. They played incredibly consistently. They blew everyone out of the water. But can they do it again? That's the next question. And I don't know. I don't think it was smart for him to stay. He should have gone someplace else. His talents allow him to go someplace else. Leicester City is not going to be the next dominant force in English football or even world football. It's still going to be, your classic teams of City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, in some type of order. Sure, Chelsea finish mid-table. It's still Chelsea, though. You can guarantee they're going to come back really, really strong in the next seasons. So we will be back on Inside the League in a couple of minutes after a quick break. If you guys